So I have pre-selected a few cards on Reddit/Homemade TCG that people have chosen to share. Now design is subjective, so if you hear something that you disagree with, put it in the comment section, let me know, because that is how we learn together. Let's get on with the video. Okay, so first up we have the Search Bot by the Doomed Lemon, and they've got two versions of the same card. So the first thing I see is with the second version, which is their reworked version, I find the red blends in with the brown. You want contrasting colors usually for the background if you want your card to stand out and look more appealing. So going back to the first card here, we have the nice blue contrasting with the brown. That's fantastic for art style. I would say go with this one for that. If we're looking at the rest of the card now, this here, this drew my eye right away. So machine scrappable. Okay, why is it closer to the top than is the bottom? This needs to be fixed. I understand that the brackets are floating a bit lower here. This just all needs to be fixed. I understand if it's a placeholder. People like symmetry and certain people will find this very distracting. This one appears centered from the naked eye. So does this one. So why is this one so different? And next up we have Silly the Wizard's card, and I want to show this little trick here that I absolutely love. So if you take a look at this card, there isn't a texture on it, but they've just added this small pattern here, which gives the perception of something more elaborate. I know it doesn't seem like much, but this little bit of decoration here just breaks up that monotone color, because that's what this is. This is just one block color. This is not getting darker. It's the perception of getting darker with just a small pattern. And this is such a basic art design to do. We're literally just drawing diamonds and spacing them out further and further apart from each other. This is great. This means that the card appears lighter when we look at the very bottom of the card and move our attention to the top of the card where the creature is focused on. I like the little incorporation of the dice on the side here, though if this is a prevalent thing in your TCG, I would say that this needs to be enlarged a little bit, because when you imagine this is just going to be on a small card like that, those dice are going to be very, very small, and not all of us have perfect vision. For me personally, I am short-sighted, so I actually see better when I take my glasses off for a card, but that not everybody is the same, and I have to be considerate of that when we're talking about color vision as well. For me, I don't struggle with color contrast and things like that, but I have to be wary when combining certain colors together because other people can't quite see them as well. Now, a couple more things I want to point out before we move on is just this shape here. This is nice because it just breaks up the regular square shape that we have here. And that means that we've gave ourselves a little bit of space to put in additional information, what set it'll be from and who the artist would be. And then I'm guessing that we've even incorporated an element to the card right here by putting it in the background. Now if that's vital information, we might not want it in the background, but I think it's so large that you might even get away with it, and I might even consider this in the future because I think that's a clever way of doing it. But let me know what you think. Should something as important as an element in a card game be something behind text? I mean, if it's as large as that, I'd say it was very readable, but is it in the foreground? So is it obvious and is it intuitive enough to new players? Now, Comnarius has shared these cards, and the first thing I want to point out, you may have already guessed it, it is the texture of the background here. It is very, very jarring. So even though we have this box over the top to help fade it a little bit, I would say just go for a more subtle background. You don't need something this strong. This is a mistake that Magic the Gathering did in the very early days, which they later went on to fix. Now here is another example. The texture is still very strong. I still find this one the worst because there's a lot more noise going on. This one, not as much noise, but still there's a lot of contrast there. It needs to be very subtle. This one, we're getting better. But I find this one to be the best, and that's because we're dealing with a light blue to a white, and that light blue to a white doesn't have as much contrast. So even though there is still a lot of noise there, it's a very active texture, the lack of contrast means that it isn't drawing our attention away when we're looking at the text. So K21B1 has shared something a little bit different. We're looking at card templates, and I like to do this sometimes because looking at different card templates is fun. I've even designed a few card templates and made sample videos, so if you want to check those out, they'll be above my head right now. I would recommend them. They're just a fun little doodle of a template, but I get to brainstorm through a few ideas, so you may be able to take a look at that, extract some ideas for your own TCG. So if we're just basing it off shapes, obviously I like this one, number 1, and number 4 the most, just because they're a little bit different. I would personally say they are better than the typical square borders, though this one has a little bit of character too, which I quite like. 3 and 5 I feel are just lacking a little bit of personality, in my opinion. This one has floating text here. Floating texts are always good because it creates a more dynamic feel, especially when a little bit is covering the art. Of course, you don't want too much covering the art, but it's all about finding the balance when you're making your own. What I have noticed with the very first design though, is that we've moved the text here, the title of the card, just below the art itself, which means that we're left with this gap in the top left hand corner. Now, you could just straighten this up because sometimes a little bit of asymmetry is nice, so you can just break it up slightly and just have a little bit more space for art. But I've said this before, the best place to put card art is the top left hand corner, because when you hold cards, the first thing you see is the cost of the card. You need to consider the card cost first, because before you even play a card, you need to know if the card is actually playable, whether you have the resource to get that card out on the field and actually be usable. And for that reason, I'm going to have to give my vote to number 4. So D621 has made these cards, and these are a little bit different because they have an octagon shape for the art itself, which leaves space in every corner to actually put stats. So if you have 4 stats in the game, I think this is a good fit. Now, my personal input is something that we've already covered. I would want the summoning cost in the top left again. Damage and health can go below the card, I think. I think just swapping these around a little bit. So put summon up here, influence up here, and in damage and health down at the bottom makes more sense. The reason I would move both damage and health down at the bottom is because they are more for the battle phase, where I'm not sure about influence. I don't know where that comes into play, but I do know that damage and health will pair together, so if one has to drop to the bottom, the other one does as well. It's just nice to have that intuitive pairing. We don't want to divide them up too much by having one at the top of the card and one at the bottom of the card. The symbols for each resource is nice. I mean, damage is the fist, that is very intuitive. A blood droplet for health is nice instead of just seeing a heart symbol. Influence I can see being a challenging one, but to give it something more surreal, I suppose ties in quite nicely, because how do you really draw influence? And then the summoning cost I've seen actually changes from card to card, so it depends on the card type, which is fair enough. Now you have a symbol for each resource within your game. And personally, I'd say this texture is a little bit strong for my liking, but you get away with it because you have a text box with a nice clear background. This is good. This text is very readable. Fantastic. So now this texture can afford to be a bit stronger because it isn't invading on this vital information. Now, PokeMax shared these cards, and I absolutely love these. These are just classic homemade cards, obviously influenced off the Ninja Turtles a little bit with a couple of these as well. But what I want to draw my attention to is these numbers here. So we have a 32, we have a 49, we have a 37. People don't like working with these types of numbers, unfortunately. Keep it in the 5 times tables, that's fine. That way you're essentially working with Magic the Gathering, but you also apply halves, which sometimes I think Magic the Gathering wish they could do a 3.5. But for some reason, we don't like to work out decimals in our head. So if this was a 35, this was a 50, this is a 65, this is a 30. Things start to become a lot more mathematically easier to process. It's a small thing. I would say just do it. It makes the game a lot neater. The other addition that I like to these cards is this bit here. It looks like we have what appeared at first to be a health bar, but of course we have health down here. So I'm going to say this is still intuitive and assume that it is a summon cost of some kind. So this one will cost 4, this one will cost 3. A king, I'm assuming, is maxed out. So when it is absolutely full, it just goes to a gold label perhaps. This is just a 2 cost, this is a 4 cost. I think that makes sense, and it also shows players what is the maximum cost that you can have within the game. You're not going to be surprised by something even higher. So sometimes if you've got the space to spare to be able to show the total cost like that is a nice little touch. Now, I like this picture. Why do I like it? Because it has a story. Tome TCG here has remastered a 20-year-old card. So this will be from like their original TCG. They found it. Obviously, it hasn't been taken care of, but they have revived it. And of course, you can see how much their art has improved over time. So I really like this mainly for that reason. The extra thing I had noticed is if you look at the side of this card, of course this could be from where this has been just hand cut like this, but this, oh, actually, I'm not sure now. I was looking at this corner and this corner at first because this looks so perfect. But I'm assuming that they're using like one of these like corner punches where you can just get it right perfect on the side. So if you're looking to make your own TCG, I would say get yourself a corner puncher like this and you can get yourself perfectly rounded corners. This one I'm not so sure about now just because of this corner. I was mainly going off this one. But if this is hand cut, then I am just more impressed because they have done a fantastic job with it. Now, Gishni has designed this card and I wanted to look at this card for one thing and one thing only. Take a look at this bit here. The use of these two triangles, right? So we have the attack here and the defense here. This I thought was really, really clever because obviously the triangles, they interlock together. We've got an equal space for the numbers and then we've got a symbol that is all wrapped up nicely in it. It seems like such a basic thing to do, but I just really, really like it. And I just wanted to draw your attention to this. If you have spare time and you're wanting to do something like this, get some shapes, experiment, see what interlocks together in a fun, interesting way, and then see how you can incorporate it onto a TCG card. Now, Crackerbud posted this card template, and the main reason I wanted to look at this card template was because of the heart symbol here. I don't see people going for a realistic heart shape. You know, we always do the heart symbol, like so. But with this, we've got ourselves a nice realistic heart shape, which I think is just a breakaway from the norm. It works. It's still a simple design. It's not too elaborate. It's very easy to interpret. We know what it is. It just ticks all the boxes. Now, I want to take a moment to finish off this video with a card from one of my long-time subscribers. They comment on pretty much every single video. They are very dedicated to the channel and I appreciate every comment that they send my way. It really does make my day. So thank you very much, Darth Nicholas. We're going to take a look at your WWE cards that they've designed here. Now, I just want to focus on this one because it has the most detail to it. And when I say detail, I mean it has all these extra little bits here. Now, Darth Nicholas has been working on a wrestling card here. And the first thing that draws my attention is this damage thing here. Just need to neaten it up, you know, just squish it in a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with having it go around a circle, but I understand that that can be hard to do. When I've had to design things like that, it can be a pest. Even on Inkscape, I have lined things up perfectly, and when I've rendered it, it's moved it. So even Inkscape struggles with that, and that's a machine doing it. So a little bit of practice there. We just need to bring it in a little bit more. But it is readable, it will do for now. Now, unlike some of the other cards that we have seen in this video, we have a nice subtle texture here. We've got something that just breaks up that monotone here with a little bit of like a lightning marble type effect, but it isn't drawing too much attention. And to add even further, they've added these boxes on top which help fade that further into the background. So the text is incredibly clear to read. So finisher, permanent, to reverse this either play 2 reversals or play momentum equal to this and 1 reversal. This also doesn't leave play as turns end. That was incredibly easy to read. There is not an issue there. So we're happy with the texture of the card. Now, another thing I would point out is the use of different shapes here. I'm not sure if there's a purpose for that, but we have a very sharp box up here. We have a curved box here, and then we have 2 circle cards here. Why are we going with different shapes? Is there a certain reason for it? Because I just think a little bit of consistency with this will go a long way as well. The positioning of them isn't a problem, though I've said in previous cards critiques, I would put the cost on the left hand side. So just a case of swapping these two. Do I have a pen tool in this? Oh, there we go. So I would swap these two together. I should start drawing on all of them, shouldn't I? And the momentum, this is a large box here. I'm not sure, perhaps we can change momentum to some sort of symbol. If momentum is something that is constantly used in your card game, when I'm looking at other cards, I'm assuming it is. It was pretty consistent with the cards. We could change, we could get a little momentum symbol. Perhaps we could brainstorm one. I could doodle up a little symbol for you, because sometimes in my off time, when I don't fancy doing a big elaborate art design, I just like to doodle a fun little symbol, because you never know when they might be useful in the future. So let's have a little think about that, Darth Nixus. I'll send a doodle your way. You may want to add it to the card. If you prefer it to be clear with text like that, that is fair enough. But we're talking about minimizing the space that's being used, which allows your art to shine. Of course, this isn't your personal art unless you're very good at realism, but you know what I mean. We got more space for the main star of the show, which is the card art. But besides that, I'd say this is a very good card. This is version 0.2, so I don't know if you've done any additions since then. But I'd say just fixing these boxes, make them consistent, swap the damage with the cost, and maybe get like a little symbol for the momentum, which you could then use in the bottom bit when we're referring to momentum. That would just be nice. You know, you don't want to overdo it with symbols, but adding 1 or 2 symbols doesn't hurt, and it adds a little bit of flavor to your game before you even look at the art itself. Okay, so Darth Nixus, I hope you appreciate that, and I hope everybody who's been watching this video appreciate it, especially because you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much. Now, don't forget to check out my other TCG design videos. I've been James, this has been Shard TCG, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.